What's going on, guys? This is Josh. Welcome to Treksplained. Here, we talk about Star Trek and drink. Please like and subscribe after the video if you enjoy it. Now, without further ado, let me Treksplain something to you. Devil in the Dark is the 26th episode of the first season of the original Star Trek series. It starts out with some asteroid miners investigating a mess in their Pergium mining facility. There is some creature down there that is tearing up the place. Everyone is on guard for this unknown and keeps their phasers handy. The chief tells Schmitter to stand guard, and they talk about how the Enterprise is already on its way. Just sit tight. You'll be fine, Schmitter. Quit your worrying. The other miners leave, and Schmitter begins looking around cautiously. When suddenly, there's a fiery noise and a blob appearing before the camera. It cuts over to the other miners hearing a scream and running back to where Schmitter was to investigate. They arrive, and Schmitter is burnt to a crisp. Poor Schmitter. Following the credits, we open up with a scene of the Enterprise entering orbit around the Pergium facility at Janus 6. Kirk, Spock, and McCoy beam down to meet with Chief Vandenberg at the facility. The chief talks about when it started 3 months ago. They had just opened up a new level of the mine with a rich Pergium reading in addition to other minerals. They talk about how the machinery began disintegrating, being burned away. They talk about repair techs and miners have begun being burnt alive too. McCoy leaves to investigate the body of Schmitter. Another miner named Ed Appel comes into the room and talks about the appearance of the creature as being big and shaggy. He says he shot it with his phaser, but it did no damage. Spock says, "You mean shot at it?" Appel is like, "No, bitch, I shot it. A good clean shot." And Spock says, "Fascinating." Ed Appel is a bit of an ass too. "Oh, mighty Federation with your starships and phaser banks. Well, you can't bring your ship into the tunnels." Kirk tells him he won't need them. Spock picks up a silicon module and asks about it. Pure silicon with a few trace elements. McCoy comes back and says Schmitter was not actually burnt by fire. It was more likely by chemical acid. Kirk asks for life readings, and other than the miners, there aren't any. At least, no life as they know it. Cut away to another miner in the mines, and a fiery noise. He's burnt too. Then the creature burns down a doorway and enters a radioactive zone. Back in the meeting room, they talk about how to track the creature, and then there's an alarm blaring. They run out to investigate and go into the power reactor. The circulating pump for the reactor has been destroyed. Without the pump, the reactor will go supercritical and destroy the planet. Kirk calls Scotty and asks him to jury-rig something to be a pump. It won't last long, though. 48 hours, maybe. Vandenberg yells about his people being killed and asks why the creature is coming up now. Spock talks about how life as we know it is based on carbon. But what if life can exist on another element, like silicon? That might also be why phasers don't affect it. The colonists only have phaser 1. The Enterprise crew has phaser 2. Well, that's a convenient plot point. It might be able to affect it. McCoy argues that silicon-based life is impossible. He's a doctor after all. But Spock and Kirk still go with their theory, ignoring McCoy. They're going to call down a security team and make the right adjustments. Spock is staring at the silicon orb from before. They might be tied in, but he says he doesn't want to amuse McCoy anymore and will ponder on the possibilities for a while. Scotty has rigged up a pump in the reactor room and tells Kirk it won't last long. Kirk gets called away to the office for a briefing with the security team. No more deaths. That's a rule. Spock asks Vandenberg where the orbs were discovered, and they send the security detail to the 23rd level. The security team is investigating the mines with Kirk and Spock. Kirk and Spock separate from the security team and discover some strange sensor readings. They read a life form based on silicon. One of the security officers is attacked and killed, but the creature again disappears before anyone can reach it. Spock discovers a tunnel that was just created. Then a giant pizza creature exits through the tunnel behind them. Pizza the Hut. It's a Horta, although they don't know the name yet. They're scared. They phaser it, and it runs away into a tunnel. 2 security officers come around to check on them. A piece of the creature was left behind. It's silicon-based. They talk about how to kill it. There's nothing more dangerous than a wounded animal. The security team continues their search, while Spock and Kirk talk about the creature. There's only one of them, which is really shocking considering the amount of tunnels. It may be the last of its race. To kill it would be a crime against science. Kirk says the creature must die. Spock agrees, but it is a pity. They brief the security team on the creature and how to find it. Spock says capture if possible, but Kirk overrides him and just says kills it. Security is dismissed, and Kirk yells at Spock. Kirk tells him to go help Scotty. Spock argues against it. The odds against both of them being killed by the creature are 2,228.7 to 1. And of course, that is an accurate number. Kirk tells him, "Alright, but stay out of trouble, Spock." Spock responds with, "That's always his intention." Scotty calls and says the pump he rigged up is busted, and there's no repairing it this time. 10 hours until the reactor goes critical. They get the miners to help the security team and then dismiss them. Spock says they're being watched. Spock pulls out his tricorder and scans for the creature. There are 2 tunnels. Time to split up. Kirk calls to Spock that he's found thousands of the orbs from before. Spock says don't damage them. Then the creature pushes over a stone pillar and almost kills Kirk. Then the creature burns through a wall. Kirk's like, crap. He holds it at bay with the phaser. Spock calls Kirk, and Kirk tells him that the creature is held at bay. Spock is on his way. The creature turns around, and Kirk notices it's hurt. Spock shows up, and Kirk calls him over. They talk about the creature. Spock initiates a mind meld with the creature. It is in agony. It burns into a rock the message, "No, kill, I." The creature is able to use rudimentary English now that it melded with Spock. It's intelligent, and it's called a Horta. They call down to McCoy to try and heal it. Spock goes back in and touches the creature to meld further. Kirk calls security and tells them to make sure the miners don't come here. They're too angry and would just kill the Horta. Spock melds with the Horta, and the Horta says it hates the miners. They are monsters and murderers in her opinion. McCoy arrives and scans the creature to see what he can do. The thing is basically stone. McCoy can't help it. He's a doctor, not a bricklayer. Kirk says, "You're a doctor? There's your patient. Do something." McCoy is doubtful but goes back in. Spock tells the Horta they're trying to help. The Horta is sad. Eternity ends. Go to the Chamber of Ages and cry for the children. They notice a tunnel nearby. Kirk breaks off to go look in the tunnel and sees a bunch of cracked orbs. Kirk comes back with a cracked orb and breaks off the meld between Spock and the Horta. He shows him the cracked egg and also the water pump from the reactor. The miners trick the security team and subdue them before rushing into the chamber with the Horta. Kirk says not to fire, but they're all angry. Kirk explains that they've been killing her children. The orbs are her eggs. Spock explains the Horta. There have been many generations of Horta on Janus 6. Every 50,000 years, they all die except one, which will usher in the new generation. When they hatch, she's the mother. She had no objection to sharing the planet until the miners began killing her children. Kirk gives the miners back the pump and negotiates with the Horta to be a miner too. The Horta tunnels as usual, and the miners just collect all the minerals left behind. It's easier, and much more efficient. McCoy announces that he cured the Horta by patching it with thermal concrete. It'll act like a bandage until it heals. Spock melds with it again, and it agrees. On the bridge, Kirk sits in his chair and talks to the chief again. The chief says the eggs have all hatched, and the little devils are tunneling away. They're even kind of cute. They're uncovering other rare minerals, like silver and gold. Spock recalls that the Horta thinks humanoid appearance is revolting, but she liked his ears the best. She has impeccable taste. Kirk says he's becoming more human all the time. Spock sees no reason to stand there and be insulted. And that concludes the episode. And that's all for today. Thanks for watching Treksplained. If you liked today's video, please drop a like and subscribe so you get updates on new videos. See you next time on Treksplained.